This is my revision of my world history notes. When I was asked to teach homeschoolers world history, I wrote a textbook, and I'm new things have come about, and I'm revising it as I go. So basically, this is for you, but it's also for me to help me revise my notes. So since it's not a video on Bible doctrine, but on history. So I'm going to touch briefly though on the fall of man and woman in Genesis 3. There are two very key verses from an historical point of view, my opinion. The first is verse 15, and the second is verse 24. Satan's attempt to counterfeit the prophecy of the virgin birth of the Messiah in verse 15 is at the root of virtually all of the earth's religions in a prideful and vain attempt to thwart the last part of the verse. Now, speaking to Satan, the pre-incarnate Jesus Christ, the living word, capital W, and God says, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. First, it must be noted that originally, according to Biankowski and Millard's Dictionary of the Ancient Near East, University of Pennsylvania Press 2000, the goddess Ishtar, who plays an extremely important role in history as a manifestation of Satan himself, was portrayed as a male deity in Venus as the morning star, and as the evening star, a goddess. The devil went on to become the biblical Ashtoreth. Finally, thousands of years later, in the Luciferian Madame Blavatsky's quote, the book The Secret Doctrine, he is called Lucifer as Christ, the bright and morning star, on page 540 of volume 2. The mother and child motif of ancient religion after the flood cannot be dismissed if we're to understand history as it is tied to the Bible. And then Alexander Hislop, that controversial book, The Two Babylons, in chapter 2, section 2, here's an eye-opening quote. The Babylonians in their popular religion supremely worshipped a goddess mother and a son, who was represented in pictures and in images as an infant or child in his mother's arms. From Babylon, the worship of the mother and child spread to the ends of the earth. In Egypt, the mother and the child were worshipped under the name of Isis and Osiris. In India, even to this day, this was in the 1800s, as Isi and Iswara. In Asia, as Sybil and Diois. In pagan Rome, as Fortuna and Jupiter Puer, or Jupiter the boy. In Greece, as Ceres, the great mother, with the babe at her breast, or as Irene, the goddess of peace, with the boy Plutus in her arms, and even in Tibet, in China, and Japan. The Jesuit missionaries were astonished to find the counterpart of Madonna and her child as devoutly worshipped as in papal Rome itself. Jing Mu, the Holy Mother in China, being represented with a child in her arms and a glory around her, exactly as if a Roman Catholic artist had been employed to set her up. Now, verse 24, which has to do with man being permanently kicked out of Eden, brings to mind the fact that mankind has futilely spent a great deal of time trying to get back to Eden. Much of history has to do with attempting to make earth a paradise for one person or a group of people and slaughtering countless millions in that effort. And one thing to note is the ideologues, the people who wrote about Marxism and communism over the past 200 years, has often referred to mankind getting back to Eden, but without God. So that's a very important point. In fact, we have it at Woodstock. Remember the famous Crosby, Stills and Nash song, and they're singing "Going to Get Back to Eden." These are all part of the whole Marxist communist thing, which is very much a religion. But that has to do with this all the way back to the beginning. So I'm going to go back next. I'm going to stop now, but I'm going to talk about verse 20 of chapter 3 in Genesis and something very interesting that we should talk about. So I hope if you watch this video, you'll click like and subscribe or follow and share the video with someone else. Save it to favorites, watch it again, repost it. Well, feel free to make comments. What do you think about what I've said? Thank you for watching and listening.